Is this movie great? No, don't go there. But surprise, surprise, it's good. So how did I end up watching it, especially in the theaters? Yes, I watched it in the theaters because Family Kid got trusted on us. So we made some programs, but they turned out to be way shorter than we planned for it. So we pulled out the emergency program, which was going to the cinema. There wasn't much of a choice. There were like 3 movies, way less load. Family movie where they are trying to rescue the house because they are in debt, so they enter the magic world, yada yada yada. It was so on the nose on the trailer that we are doing this. But it's a fantasy world, and it looked the world they were visiting, because it was you go through this mini multiverse, and there is this great thing that makes you forget your life if you spend too much time in there. Again, it's super on the nose thing, but I thought, yeah, we need some alternatives. So it looked decent. Then, because she's a girl, and there really isn't too much this week in the cinemas for, like 10 and under. Supergirl. I mean, sure, I would not watch it if it's on me, but if it's on the kid in the family, why not? It can't do much harm. Then there was Minions and Monsters, or as here they are called Minions, which is a kind of dessert where you have the cake covered with marzipan, but hard marzipan, not even marzipan, hard sugar. It's super terrifying for your teeth. But kids absolutely love it because it's super sweet. Anyway, we went to the cashier, and she said, yeah, it starts at that time, but it is in 2D. That was weird. Never once one of them said me that, but it is. I said, what do you mean, but it is? 3D? No, we have a 4D screening. I was like, I never was in a 4D. The kid definitely was not in a 4D. And when we got the ticket, she, started to say, oh, my rich classmate, they went to the 4D, and it's super rare. No one ever went there. Okay, fine, we made the day. And this was, otherwise I think it's 4D is an excuse and a gimmick, and it's worse than the 3D IMAX thing. It's just, and way more expensive, so I was like, never going there. But this time I said, you know what? You sold me this. You said, but it is 2D. We go in. We are absolutely going in. 4D, absolutely going in. So we skipped even dinner because it was like we had a 20 minutes to it, and we were actually very hungry, but we said, okay, whatever. We go in. And I was like, okay, the kid chose it. So, I mean, we can bear it. It can't be that bad. I mean, I've seen the grooves. I think the groove movies are mediocre, forgettable. Not forgettable, but mediocre, very mid. The third, I kind of liked. It seemed they put in kind of a bit of effort aside the usual cartoon slapstick. And it was, well, if it was on TV, I won't turn it off. But when it was the solo Minion movie, I heard this one is the third. I don't remember there being a second, but it's just on me. Whatever, let's go with it. So, the previous, where they evolved from single cell bacteria to giant single cell bacteria and went through the world of evolution and all the human history, that was dumb. That was unacceptably dumb. That's Lego movie and Super Mario movie level insufferable dumb. But I said, we need to do something. We didn't have much alternative. We go in. And, the Minions wasn't that annoying. They didn't really do the usual Minion gibberish. It was actually kind of, you could understand what they're saying because it wasn't gibberish. It was part Italian, part German, part English, and they always, in context, you understood what they were intended to say. So it was fine, and sure, it's Minion, so it will be slapstick, but they built scenarios over it, like in the old movies and cartoons. Train heist and that kind of stuff. Steam train and whatever. The movie plays in the 30s Hollywood, 20s to 50s maybe. And it actually has a story because it's kind of meta movie about the silent movies being invented to the early talkies, movies which had sound, not just live music during the movie, the screening. And you knew that the Minions will be screwed by having to talk. And if you are familiar with the movie history, that was a real thing. People had started to talk and they didn't have the voice the people imagined. And a lot of stars crashed. And the movies this thing references, I've seen like almost all of it. Chaplin being on the clock towers, clocks, and Yosemite robbing some steam train, and I can't and don't want. You can look it up probably on IMDb what this movie is referencing. The most interesting thing is there is a guy who were in the costume of the original When the Earth Stood Still, or whatever the title, Omega Man, or one of those. You know, when the robot comes from space to judge humanity. And it's like a joke for a third of the movie that you cannot be sure, because this is a magical reality, if this guy is the real thing, really is an extraterrestrial who came to judge humanity, or just a guy in a Hollywood costume on the street begging for pennies. And that joke works on such a level. It's really good. And the last third of the movie, by the way, I don't know who was responsible for the script and the release date, but you know, the Netflix or Amazon's or whoever's Odyssey has come out or is coming out. The first evil who are the minions serving here is a Cyclops. Genius, great timing. And you know, there, of course, it's like the 3D usual 3D movie thing that shoves things in your face because it's 3D, so you have to be served by 3D. So when the giant Vogue, the chairs are rumbled. By the way, do not try to put your head on the chair. It will be knocking you all over, and it will make you very dizzy. If you ever, and you didn't yet, but plan. Anyway, so it was very gimmicky for the first third half of this thing. But the ending, I assume you can look up the trailer. I won't bother with it here. They are summoning Cthulhu. Howard Philip Lovecraft and all that. And in the book, there is Cthulhu, very scary and gigantic, and of course they summon the chibi version. It's so Minion. When I thought after the movie that I saw the original, this movie is referencing the original monster is like in the book. The kid is it's such a reaction. I love it. But it goes all world-eating scenario. And there is a final fight. I don't want to spoil it, because this movie is good. So I hope I can convince you to not avoid it. And then there will be the final fight, and that final fight is such a peak, really peak. And the 4D is really serving it. It's, you know, it's still overpriced and gimmicky and all that, but the final fight is really where the 4D is worth its price. So this movie is not just for kids, it's also for adults. I mean, it's a family film. But if you know all the references this reproduces as reference humor, that's really adds to it. So if you are a movie fan, so to say, you know, from the very early ages, not just today and or the from 90s or 2000s, but you looked up the old things, or at least met the memes from it. Chaplin's in the Clockwork, that's typically that one. This movie will be good. It will be good. I'm the most surprised I'm suggesting to watch a Minion movie. But I can't pretend was the usual Minion garbage. And even in a Gru movie, the Minions are, especially in the last one where there were the superhero Minions, that was so... You cut out the Minions and you are better off it. But here, there was a script. There was filmmaking. It's the first half of this year, and this looks like this year's Oscar. I'm sorry, but it is what it is.